Ngabona ngoku kuna 8 trolleys because bekunale
Sister, when are they coming?
So we're going to bring another 36 trolleys now. We're going to place trolleys. And then say it will take us 15 minutes.
Explain it.
Okay. Copy.
About Mike.
And pass.
Yeah, Maragisido.
My name is Peace Mabi. I am the Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. Just to indicate that there's going to be a 10 minutes delay. We're waiting for other trolleys to be assembled. As things stands, we are at 8, and the total number of trolleys that are supposed to be assembled is supposed to be 42. While we're waiting for the army to assemble the trolleys, can we request the band to give us maybe 2 or 3 items while we wait? Thank you very much.
Answer.
Yeah, thank you. Now it's working. Can we take our seats, please? And be ready for the coffins to arrive.
Right. Hello, how are you?
Yes, we're going to study. Everybody must stand.
Yeah, you're supposed to stand up.
Oh, Kana Remese.
Once we put the stand, please.
wait. In the meantime, I think you can take your seats. I'll call you again.
3, 2, 3, what? One, 2, 3, what?
Where are they? Oh, up. The band. Where are you? That's two. Just the last two. Please, be patient. We're nearly there.
It's not an easy exercise.
It's not. Yeah. And if never, rush. They're coming again, again, again. First one, yeah, we speakers. No, they were speakers.
Once the time is done, we rise for the national anthem.
No, later.
After this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. For the national band leaders, May be seated. My name is Bantu Holomisa, Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans. I've been asked to assist Honorable Mabe to conduct this service. Honorable President, former President Thabo Mbeki, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Honorable Mochecha, Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Honorable Mackenzie, Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Honorable Mkungo, Deputy Minister of Sports and Arts and Culture, Honorable Mabe, Ambassadors and High Commissioners of Zambia and Zimbabwe, Ambassadors and High Commissioners from other countries, esteemed colleagues in government, veterans of our liberation struggle, families of our fallen heroes and heroines, and fellow South Africans. We are gathered here today in solemn gratitude and deep reverence to welcome the selfless heroes who fought for liberation of this country. These heroes whose courage and sacrifices knew no bounds, stood in the face of oppression, not for themselves alone, but for all millions of voiceless masses. They crossed borders, some into Zambia and beyond, not for personal glory, but to fight for liberation of South Africa and its people. Today, we do not simply acknowledge your remains, we honor your spirits. These are the bones of warriors who once walked this land with a fierce determination for freedom, justice, and dignity. And now they are returned to us by the instruction of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, who stands before you today. This process is not foreign to South Africa. It has long been part of our tradition to honor those who gave everything for this nation. When I was asked by the ANC to lead the reburial of King Sabata Dalindyebo in 1989, a process that began with his repatriation from Lusaka, we reaffirmed our commitment to the custom of bringing our heroes home to rest. Today, this tradition continues as we return our comrades in line with their ancestral customs, ensuring their spirits find peace in the soil of their homeland. Many people, many of those who left with you in the 60s, such as O.R. Tambo, the former president of the ANC, and Sabelo Palmer, the then chief of staff of the PAC, are no longer with us. Yet today, through you, we honor their memory as well. The discipline and respect of our customs and traditions underscore this moment, reminding us that this homecoming is a sacred duty. Finally, today we welcome you home, Makawe, not only as fallen soldiers, but as fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters whose families are here to receive you. May this moment of your return be in line with your ancestral customs. May it bring peace to your spirits as well as we embrace your presence in this land, stained with your blood, sweat, and tears. We welcome you today, not as departed souls, not as a mere bones of the past, but as the living fiber of this nation, as the heart that beats within democratic existence. You are the essence of the liberty we enjoy today, and we stand in the freedom you so courageously fought for. Kwasisigela Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. My humble apologies. The band missed the singing of the AU anthem. I humbly request that we please stand. It will be befitting that we also sing the AU anthem. My humble apologies. Thank you very much. Be seated. Former President Thabo Mbeki and Mrs. Zanele Mbeki, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Me Enji Motshekga and Ntate Mathole Motshekga, military veterans from the liberation movements present here, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, and the President of the Patriotic Alliance, Mr. Gayton Mackenzie, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Ms. Thembisi Melane, Minister of Transport, Ms. Barbara Creasy, Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, and the President of the Pan-Africanist Congress, Mr. Mzwanele Nyonso, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Njabulu Mzuza, Deputy Minister of Employment and Labor, Mr. Jomo Sibiya, Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mr. Andres Nel, Gauteng MEC Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Matume Chilwane, who is also here on behalf of the Premier of Gauteng, the Western Cape MEC of Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Ricardo Mackenzie, the Premier of Northwest, Ndate Lazarus Mukhosi, Premier of Mpumalanga, Mr. Mandla Ndlovu, the Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, General Bantu Holomisa, and Mr. Richard Mkungu, Deputy Minister of Sports, Council of the South African Heritage Resources Agency, I think the CEO is here, the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Dr. Fikile Mbalula, the members of the diplomatic corps present here, high commissioners from both Zimbabwe and Zambia, and the missing person task team, and families of our fallen heroes and heroines. Thank you very much. You are all welcome. President, just on a lighter note, our first meeting in office, the minister made a request that within the 100 days within the first 100 days of office, we should be able to achieve this program. And one senior manager said, Minister, there is no money. And the minister stood up and looked at him with a very loud voice and said, no, 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 you must find money. I want this program to happen within 100 days. So I thought I should share that with you, that the minister did really put a lot of pressure for this program to happen. Thank you very much. We remember them in the rising of the sun and its going down. We remember them in the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter. We remember them. I shall now welcome on stage Honorable Matume Chilwani to do the welcome remarks.
Thank you so much, Deputy Minister, both of yourselves. Ergotomeka ulitamisha kile lo cheka moka inboli semolweni sanbonani absheni da goeiedag and good morning. Master of Ceremonies, the Honorable President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Ramaphosa, the former President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Thabo Mbeki, the leadership of the African National Congress led by the Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, the leadership of all liberation movements present, High Commissioners present, honorable ministers and deputy ministers, distinguished guests, families of fallen heroes, fellow South Africans. It is with profound respect and solemnity that I address you today on this significant occasion to honor the remains of our esteemed freedom fighters, those heroes and heroines who sacrificed their lives in the liberation struggle. The repatriation from Zimbabwe and Zambia signifies a momentous chapter in our nation's journey of healing, remembrance, and restoration. We convene here to not only receive the mortal remains of our fallen compatriots, but also to acknowledge and honor their unwavering courage, sacrifice, and the enduring legacy they have bequeathed us. Today, we reflect on the profound wisdom of the great Chinese proverb that says, to forget one's ancestors is to be a brook without a source, a tree without roots. In African culture, it's ancestral right for the departed to return to their homeland, to rest in the soil that nurtured them among their people as they join the ranks of our ancestors who continue to guide us. Ladies and gentlemen, repatriation transcends the mere act of retrieving the physical remains of our fallen heroes and heroines. It embodies the restoration of dignity, honor, and recognition of their invaluable contribution to our collective freedom. This process serves to reconnect us with our past, reaffirm our cultural values, and fortify the bonds that unite us to our land, our history, and one another. This act of repatriation stands as a testament to our nation's commitment to preserving our heritage and ensuring that our history is duly acknowledged, encompassing both the sacrifice endured and the freedom we now cherish. We are profoundly grateful to His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, whose vision and leadership have made this moment possible. In his 2020 State of the Nation address, the President emphasized the significance of remembering and honoring those who fought for our liberation. His dedication to initiating this repatriation process ensures that our heroes and heroines who sought refuge and fought from foreign lands will now return to their home soil where their spirits can find peace. President Ramaphosa, we thank you for your deep commitment to preserving the legacy of our struggle, for recognizing the story of South Africa's liberation is incomplete without this sacred act of homecoming. We also express our heartfelt gratitude to the governments and the people of Zimbabwe and Zambia, who not only provide sanctuary to our freedom fighters during the height of anti-apartheid struggle, but who have also respected and cared for their remains for decades. We stand united with them in this profound moment as we continue to share deep historical, emotional connection in the broader African struggle for freedom and self-determination. As we lay these heroes to rest, let us commit ourselves to never forgetting their sacrifices. They remind us that the freedom we enjoy today was not given to us lightly, but was earned through immense hardship. Suffer continue to inspire us ideals they fought for, a South Africa that is truly free, just, and equal for all. To the families of the fallen heroes, we offer our deepest condolences and our utmost respect. Your patience and resilience in waiting for this moment to come is a testament to your strength. Today we stand with you and we honor the memory of your loved ones. Their legacy lives on. Let us take this opportunity to reflect on the words of our revered struggle icons, Istalandwe President Oliver Tambo, who once said, "The fight for freedom must go on until it's won, until our country is free and happy and peaceful as part of the community of men. We cannot rest." Today we are reminded that the journey of liberation is ongoing and the repatriation of our heroes brings us one step closer to completing this chapter of our history. Let us honor them, let us not forget, and let us continue to build a nation worthy of their sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndate Chilwane. Indeed, the people of Zambia and Zimbabwe and South Africa share a common liberation struggle bond over many years. We would now invite the Ambassador of Zambia in South Africa, His Excellency, Ms. Mazuba Monze. As we do that, we would also like to acknowledge and honor the Chief of the Defense Force, Ndate Ruzane Maphanywa, and his generals. Ambassador Monze, thank you very much.
His Excellency, President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, former President of the Republic of South Africa, Tata Mbeki, Honorable Andy Mashego, President, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Honorable Gayton Mackenzie, Minister of Sport, Art and Culture, other senior officials from the government of the Republic of South Africa, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, and high commissioners accredited to the Republic of South Africa, families of the departed heroes and heroines of the Republic of South Africa, President of the Pan-Africanist Congress, Secretary General of the African National Congress, dear ladies and gentlemen, we are most humbled and gratified to be part of this historic occasion to honor the homecoming of our liberation heroes and heroines, brave souls who laid down their lives for the freedom that we cherish, who were buried in Zambia and Zimbabwe. Their courage and sacrifice have not only shaped the history of South Africa, but also the future of all our children, whose names should not just be in history books, but pillars of national identity and symbols of the ideals we hold dear, namely justice, equality, and peace. As we commemorate this important occasion, we also recognize the strength and resilience of their families, who have endured unimaginable loss. I would like to say to you that your sacrifice, too, is indeed deeply felt, and your strength inspires us. Their legacy is definitely our shared responsibility. And it is through our actions that their spirit will continue to live on. Your Excellency, the President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Zambia, we would like to highly commend the government of the Republic of South Africa for putting this poignant event together. We are also extremely humbled to have collaborated with our brothers and sisters from South Africa in undertaking the repatriation and restitution process of the freedom fighters buried in Zambia, as well as for their solidarity and commitment to preserving our shared history. We remember with respect those who found their resting place in Zambia. Their graves will continue being sacred symbols of our shared history and a testament to the deep bonds between our peoples. The cooperation between the people of South Africa and Zambia should therefore go beyond remembrance, being our collective duty to strengthen our partnership in the fields of development, trade, education, and culture, ensuring that the legacy of those who fought for freedom continues to inspire and guide our actions. Together, we will work towards a future that reflects the values that they stood for. That is peace, prosperity, and unity for all. May the spirit of our heroes and heroines continue to inspire us as we move forward in friendship and collaboration. As I watched the ceremony unfolding in Lusaka, I felt a deep sense of emotion. And I know that emotion resonated all over Zambia. Because this journey, which is ending here today for our dearly departed ones, it was our journey as well. Through all the milestones of my life as I grew up, Ubuntu and the Zambians opened their homes, their country, to their fellow brothers and sisters in solidarity. You have fought the good fight, finished the race. Good and faithful servants, come and rest at peace in the land that you so valiantly fought for. May your dear souls rest in eternal peace. I thank you for your kind attention.
Amagugu aneli swe ayotla ematu amagugu aneli swe ayotla ematu. Send your hamba, Tietwa etu. Send your hamba, Tietwa etu. Thank you very much, Ambassador. The role of the African National Congress in the liberation struggle is deeply rooted in the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, we now call upon the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Ntate Fikile Mbalula. Send your la die toi et send your la die toi es tu. Welcome, SG.
Thank you, Program Directors. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, former President, Comrade Thabo Mbeki, President of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, Comrade Mzwanele Nyonzo, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Comrade Angie Mutega,
Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Gayton Mackenzie. High Commissioner of Zimbabwe to South Africa, His Excellency Hamba Ziripa. High Commissioner of Zambia to South Africa, His Excellency Mazuba Monze. Premier of the Northwest Province, Comrade Lazarus Mukhosi. Gauteng MEC for Education, Sports and Recreation, Comrade Matume Chilwani. Families, friends, relatives of our heroes, comrades and compatriots. Today we welcome home gallant sons and daughters of the South Africans to the South African soil, who made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that this is the men who are finally brought home after decades of exile, united by the yearning to liberate their mother. ANC's women's section, Comrade Machigiza, and Wangi campaigner Basil February, as other unsung freedom fighters, who are all heroes and heroines of our liberation struggle. Today we pay homage and express our profound gratitude to the country, from Alexander to Zerast, Cape Town to Soweto, Durban to Mtanzani, Bloemfontein to Mahikeng, the East Rand to Ngwavuma, paying testimony that our struggle against apartheid tyranny was a truly national struggle. This homecoming, comrades and friends, intensive work that spans a number of years by the ANC government. Many hurdles had to be overcome of this and many more other competence. We want to, as the ANC, thank Comrade Nelson Mandela, Comrade Thabo Mbeki, and Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa to see this to the finishing line. And we want to give them a great salutation and a great tribute today for this important work. Some have been quick to displace the ANC government. And Gayton Mackenzie, my dear friend, you are doing a great job. And don't allow them to steal your time and set you against us. You are part of us. And then say that Gayton Mackenzie achieved a lot in 3 months and more than the ANC. The real truth is that Thabo Mbeki started this process. The families here, they know the truth. National unity. And seeing us to the finishing line. But my great friend, not taking anything from you, you are doing a great job. Thank you very much. We were pleased in March 2021 when the cabinet of the 6th administration approved the national policy on repatriation and restitution of human remains and heritage objects. The implementation of this policy is driven by the Interministerial Committee led by the Deputy President. This then paved the way for this first group of 47 freedom fighters who were buried in Zambia and Zimbabwe to be exhumed and repatriated. This will be followed by comrades buried in countries like Tanzania, Angola, Uganda, Lesotho, Mozambique, and many more. Over the last century, since the establishment of the ANC in 1912, our people have fought heroic battles against colonial and apartheid tyranny. These battles were waged in many fronts, from internal resistance inside the country to armed combat in the frontline states, to the capitals of the world who rallied behind the anti-apartheid movement. The brutality of the apartheid regime and the burning of the ANC and the PAC, alongside many other progressive organizations in the country, led us to the underground and exile, where we continue to wage our struggle. Indeed, many of our comrades went into exile so they could contribute in different ways to the liberation of our country. We remain grateful to the many nations of the world who embraced our people, supported our struggle, trained our people, and provided our movement with the much needed resources to wage our struggle in different terrains. The role of the frontline states, who stood as a bulwark against the aggression of the apartheid state, gave our struggle momentum and rallied the continent and the world behind our struggle. It will be remiss of us as the ANC today not to mention the indelible role played by the countries where these comrades' mortal remains were repatriated from, Zambia and Zimbabwe. Zambia, led by President Kenneth Kaunda, gave home to the ANC and other liberation movements, providing for ANC headquarters, training camps, and the education of our children and young people. It did so while still busy rebuilding their own country, after just attaining their own independence from colonialism in 1964. In the true spirit of Pan-Africanism, the government and peoples of Zambia, vowed that they can't be free until all peoples of Africa and Southern Africa are also free. And they put deed to it. We remain forever grateful. Zambia also ensured the ANC's sonic presence in the airwaves in the form of Radio Freedom, which enabled the ANC to shape the course of the unfolding struggle and internal political developments. Zimbabwe, too, like us, fought a long and hard struggle for independence and freedom against the regime like apartheid regime that was determined to cling to power at all cost. It was for this reason that we found common cause with the freedom fighters and freedom-loving people of Zimbabwe, expressed in the joint Wanki and Spolilo campaigns of Umkhonto weSizwe and Zipra in 1967 and 1968. Once she attained her independence in 1998, Zimbabwe too provided offices to the liberation movements and played a critical role in uniting the frontline states against apartheid South Africa. Both Zambia and Zimbabwe became victims not only of cross-border raids and strikes, but also assassinations, bombs, grenades, and other attacks. Despite this, they remained steadfast in their solidarity with the liberation movement and peoples of South Africa. It was Egyptian intellectual Edward Said who said, I quote, "Exile is strangely compelling to think about what terrible to experience. It is the unhealable rift forced between a human being and a native place, between the self and its true home. Its essential sadness can never be surmounted. And while it is true that literature and history contain heroic, romantic, glorious, even triumphant episodes in an exile life, these are no more than efforts meant to overcome the crippling sorrow of estrangement," close quote. This estrangement impacted particularly harshly on the families of those of our comrades who went to exile, often not knowing where their loved ones ended up, what they endured and experienced, let alone when and if they will ever see them again. Unfortunately, for those in whose honor we hold this homecoming ceremony today, they were never able to taste the fruits of freedom in their homeland, let alone see their loved ones. It is therefore important that we continue with this program, working with families to bring home the remains of those who passed away in exile, so that we may all begin to have closure and heal. Amandla, thank you very much.
Skokele tambo, skokele tambo. Skokele tambo, sibuyele makaya. Ngena kanjani? Songena kanjani? Songena kanjani? Skokele tambo, sibuyele makaya. Skokele tambo, makaya tina. Osongena kanjani? Songena kanjani? Emakaya songena kanjani? Skokele tambo. Thank you very much. Long live the spirit of Oliver Tambo. Long live. Let me all take this opportunity to welcome the Deputy Minister of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs, Ntate Masemula, Dixon Masemula, you're welcome. And also acknowledge the presence of MEC of Sports, Arts and Culture from KZN, Honorable Kaula, representing the Premier of Zambia. Zimbabwe. Oh, Zimbabwe. Yes, I was correct, Commissioner.
Let me Matamela Cyril, Your Excellency of South Africa, and I'm going to ride on the protocol that has been established. And friends, a solemn and significant occasion to deliver of the Republic, the affected families, and the entire nation of South Africa at this ceremony to welcome back the remains of some of the gallant sons prize in their second home, Zimbabwe and Zambia, to have participated in, contribute to the struggles of these individuals and of many others. Your Excellency, today's ceremony therefore reminds us of our two countries and people and necessary national memory project. I thank you.
Angola, Angola. Gola kinaga. Thank you very much. I know how you feel. That's why I feel it's important that I should at least give you a few seconds to express your gratitude and your feelings. Thank you very much for responding. The Pan-Africanist Congress has always been part of the people's struggle for liberation. We now invite the president of the Pan-Africanist Congress, Mr. Mzwanele Nyonso, to give us a message of support.
General.
Thank you. Thank you. Program directors, Your Excellency, President Ramaphosa, Your Excellency, former President Mbeki, Secretary General of the ANC, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, Minister Angie Motshekga of Defense, Minister Mackenzie of Arts and Culture, High Commissioners, comrades and friends. I speak wearing a hat of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania when I say that the doubting Thomas is the one who refuses to accept and acknowledge the fact that when the liberation moved together in unity in front of the people, broadening out of pettiness of working alone, develop faith that the price of freedom is for us all. There is hope that even in the obscure family who are never mentioned in the media, whose son or daughter is among those who have never come home after many, many years in exile, whose story and background that led to their demise is still unknown. There is hope that one day they too will come home, and the extended family and their new generations will be on record for having paid the supreme sacrifice for national liberation. Today, as it has happened before, faith is restored in our hearts and minds. And healing is beginning to happen to those of us who are wounded, who are in pain, whose hearts are in pain, and whose sense of loss of our loved one is shaken now positively with compassion, with love, that we are building one nation, we are one people, united in action. Today, our faith is restored. We know that there is victory for all. For the PAC faithfuls, mentioning John Nyati Bogela brings tears in our eyes. He's an outstanding leader who did more than we can mention, who deserve better acknowledgement and recognition as a national leader in the struggle for freedom. Poet leader who championed African nationalism with the likes of Anton Limbede, Robert Mugabe, and a host of others who studied at Forte University College in the 1940s. He led the Bureau of African Nationalism in East London. The Africanists as a school of thought within Congress grew in leaps and bounds out of Pogela's positive influence. Pogela was a founder member of the PAC. He taught at the same high school in Standerton with Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. He was a leader of the armed struggle that commanded the Poto attacks from its underground nerve center in the then Basuto land. He spent 13 years on Robben Island maximum prison. He was regarded by his peers in other liberation movements as a man of great potential. The PAC lost ground when he sadly died in 1985 in Harare. He was the chairman of the PAC Central Committee, bridging the gap between generations of 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1976 students, and even roaring young firebrands of the 1980s. The Zimbabwean government gave him respect and laid him to rest in a state official funeral. We believe that he deserves better. And there is Edwin Makoti. Here is another founding member of PAC, a very knowledgeable comrade who was a critical thinker and pushed younger recruits in exile to know and understand that revolution was not a dinner party. He wrote extensively on the PAC position on building, on nation building, on the national mandate, and on the type of a cadre that revolution needed for us to achieve genuine liberation. Mioli was a deputy head of logistics in the Azanian People's Liberation Army. He was a disciplined soldier and did everything by the book. We will raise their names, memorialize their contribution. We must not let the doubting Thomas to create an atmosphere of negativity. It is our faith that moves mountains. We have not lost hope. Our heroes our martyrs are with us. They have served, they have suffered, and they have sacrificed. Izwe lethu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nyoso. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. I now call upon General Bantu Holomisa to continue with the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. President, things are going to be done now the military way from. Thank you. The South African National Defence Force has played an integral role in the repatriation program. We now invite the Minister of Defense, Honorable Angie Motshekga. Thank you.
Thank you very much, program directors. Let me acknowledge our President, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. Also respectfully acknowledge our former President, Honorable Thabo Mbeki. Acknowledge my colleagues, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, that we've been working very close with, Mr. Gate Mackenzie. Also acknowledge Minister Nyoso for Land and Rural Development. There's a number of ministers that are present here, but let me just say I wish to acknowledge all the ministers and deputy ministers here without mentioning them one by one. I acknowledge the Chief of Defense Force and all your generals. Chief, thank you very much for the support that you've been giving from reception up to here. Thank you very much to the Defense Force. Let me also acknowledge the premiers that are present here, the Premier of Northwest, and also the different MECs who are standing for their premiers. Also acknowledge the Premier of Mpumalanga. Acknowledge the Council of the South African Heritage Resources Agency. I must acknowledge also my Secretary General, Comrade Fikile Mbalula. Acknowledge the President of the PAC, so I'm acknowledging twice as a minister, but also as a president of PAC. Acknowledge the interfaith committee members that are here. There's a number of our senior officials, DGs, and senior officials of government. Also my sister, the ambassador from Zambia, but also the ambassador of Zimbabwe. I also have to really acknowledge the esteemed colleagues that are here from government, the different representatives of different countries that have honored us with their presence. I see quite also a good number of our veterans of the liberation struggle. We want to also acknowledge you with all the respect. Acknowledge the families of the fallen heroes. I was very excited to see the daughter and the son who got that to Unokwe. So thank you very much to all the families who really honored us with their presence here. Our heroines and fellow South Africans. Indeed, Program Director, for me, and I think for all of us, this is a very moving occasion that brings us together today, because we gather not merely to witness a ceremonial event, but to honor a profound and sacred responsibility to bring back home the remains of our brave men and women who sacrificed everything for the liberation of our beloved country. So this moment is a reflection of our national values, respect for human dignity, but more important, the recognition of the sacrifice, and on the other side, the preservation of our heritage. Program Director, the repatriation of the remains of our struggle stalwarts is not just about laying to rest those who fought for freedom. It is about bringing healing to their families, and I hope it really does that. Because these are not just names from history, they are our family, they are leaders, they are friends, and our mentors. They gave their lives so that we might live in freedom. They left our shores to fight a system that dehumanized our people, and in doing so, they became symbols of resilience, courage, and hope. And indeed, SG, the project to repatriate our stalwarts dates back, and we've repatriated quite a number of them. We have repatriated J.B. Marks, Moses Kotane, Osara Batman. And when the president in 2020, in his SONA report, did announce that we have to get into the policy, into the program, and by 2021, it became program. But I must say, with the arrival of Mackenzie, gave it all the necessary energy and push, and for that we're highly appreciative. In September, we're here with the president to launch, and I think already he knew that lots of work was done, because I didn't believe him. He says this month won't end before it comes together. So I'm really, as I say, very appreciative also as the department. We've worked very well also with the president of the PHC to make sure that, again, the political parties are on board, but also must thank the different political homes where these people came from. The ANC played a major role also in enabling us to bring together the families, but also the leadership of the parties, and also the PAC played a very important role. Because this project underscores government's responsibility to our heroes and heroines. Through it, as we said before, we're exhuming 49 stalwarts who died in Zimbabwe and Zambia. I think when they do a roll call, we'll also explain that there's the 7, because I also spoke to some members of the family on Wednesday, the remains of their loved ones is still to come, President, because there were delays with verifications with DNA processes, but they will definitely be here before we finish this process. But amongst these esteemed heroes that are lying here, Advocate Dumanoko, that's why I said I was happy to see the son and the daughter, a legal giant of our liberation struggle. We're also excited as the Women's League. We've always spoken about Mamu Florence Mposhosho Batabilis. We always listed them, and we're glad that also he remains amongst these. But also a fierce and committed activist who Basil February. We're told his courage remains etched in the annals of our history. And these are just about a few heroes that are here. I think we will be able to profile all of them so that people really understand who they are. And some was part of the people that had to repatriate. So for us, this project is more than just an administrative task. It is a deeply emotional and human endeavor. The Exile Repatriation Project is a response to the heartfelt requests made by families of our struggled stalwarts, as well as the many civilians and veterans who yearn to see their loved ones returned home. It is about giving those who died in foreign lands the dignity they deserve by ensuring they are buried in the soil of their homeland, which they fought for so much, and surrounded by people who cherish their memory. And as I say, families have been here for days already, and Up to now, I can feel that the spirits are still up. So the process of repatriation we've experienced is very complex. Minister McKenzie will tell you, because it involves coordination between departments. The exhumation and returns of these human also requires collaboration at the highest level. It has to be treated with sensitivity, with respect and care. And I must thank again the countries, the two hosting countries. President, I got the reports and the visuals of the send-off from those countries. I'm told it was extremely dignified. They also had military send-offs, and I'm told both countries did all they could. They just pulled all stops to give our fellow South Africans the respect and dignity they gave. And for that, I think we're extremely grateful. As a department, we had requested the Deputy Minister Mkulu to accompany all the people who were going to we're going to collect the remains. When he came, he says, Minister, I thought 2 donkeys is not enough. I thanked them, but the way they really shocked me, the way they treated us, President must write to their president and thank them. It's not, thank is not enough. I just felt that it was inadequate. And that's what Mkongi said to me, to say, Udanki, who says, I kept on saying thank you, but I just felt that this deserves more than a thank you from a deputy minister. As I said, the process has been extremely complex, and we're not saying with Minister McKenzie that we stop here because of the complexity. We've learned a lot. We've understood some of the things that needs to be done, especially for a mass repatriation, and we are committed and ready to continue with other countries where we have to do also mass repatriations. The repatriation of our struggled Salwats is about more than closure to our families. We think it's a necessary step towards national healing and restoration, because for too long, many of these families have lived with the pains of not knowing the fate of their loved ones. We want to say we'll never forget that South Africa's liberation struggle was not waged in isolation. It was supported and sustained by our African brothers from countries such as Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola, Mozambique, Tanzania, and most of the countries in the continent. So, especially the so-called frontline states. They stood shoulder to shoulder with the liberation movements. They provided refugee and resources to those forced into exile by apartheid regime in many of these countries. In conclusion, Program Director, today's repatriation and the homecoming ceremony are not just events, they are profound expression of our respect for those who made the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. They remind us of the high price of our democracy and the courage of those who paid that price. As we bring these stalwarts home, we want to say to the families, Releboha homenahani. Sibulela kakhulu ukuthi nisiboleke abantwana benu baphume bashiya emakhaya babuye beqoqwa ngamabhoyisi kodwa inkulu into bayenzile so siyabulela. So we want to say may the souls of our fallen heroes and heroines rest in eternal peace. Their memory will never fade. Their legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Minister Motshekga. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, and Honorable Gayton McKenzie, who's the who under his leadership, we've managed to fulfill the promise made to the families of our fallen heroes. In the same vein, I would like to introduce Limpopo MEC Jerry Maseko. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Kula, bab. Yeah. Thank you.
Duribaiza Ramaphosa. Kamayaliwena. Maphosa. They are saying, hey, Mackenzie is happy to be in cabinet. They are lying. I'm very happy. I'm not happy. I am excited. Honorable President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, Honorable former President Thabo Mbeki, and I will stand on the existing protocol. I want to read something. Compatriots and honored guests, let me start by asking the simple question. How come and why are we all here today? We are here today because our leader in South Africa instructed me to lead the process to bring back the remains of our heroes. We are here today because our president wanted the families present here today to start finding closure. So I acted on an instruction from the Honorable President. There was no one person. Many played the role. You can't come here and gloat and say you are responsible for such a huge task. This was a effort by many departments, many people, and many leaders. Mr. President, you taught us something very important in the GNU. You taught us in the GNU that there's a collective. There's no ANC, PA, DA, PAC, IFP, UDM, Freedom Front Plus, Al-Jamaa, or Rais Mzansi. You taught us that we ministers took an oath that we will serve the people of South Africa, irrespective of which parties they come from. But you know, President, the instruction that you gave me did something. It showed the GNU in action. Let me explain. You know, some of you have not been in cabinet before. So allow me to tell you how it works. I speak from experience. The president is the head of cabinet. He gives us our marching orders, our line of march. And I know some of you have said, hey, Mackenzie, you mustn't listen. Mackenzie does. I see them on Facebook, on Twitter, Secretary General. I see their comments. They are not for me. They want me to be reshuffled. So if I'm going to fall for those comments, I shall find myself being reshuffled. The people that voted for me, the people that I lead of the Patriotic Alliance, they are very happy with me being in the GNU. They are excited because they already can see the changes that the GNU brings. How can I listen to people that never voted for me and say I must be out? I want to thank President. I think this task was not easy. I met the children of SG Duma Nokwe with the opening of Parliament. And I gave them the assurance that we will do this end of September. They told me today they didn't really believe me. And I told them then, I said, the president gave me instructions. But when you gave me this instruction, the deputy minister, my force, Peace Mabe, she said, I said, you will find money. Because that was the morning that you told me it will and it shall happen. Now, how can an official tell me there's no money if my boss said I must do something? Sometimes these officials, they want you to be reshuffled prematurely. But I'm very happy with the officials in the department. They worked very hard, the officials, day and night. But I think it will be wrong of the names because I have never done this. I don't know how to do it. I had to ask. And I want to start with Me Enjimutsekha. You were like a mother. You guided me patiently. Minister Bantu Olomisa, he guided me very impatiently, but he guided me. Minister Tolashe, Minister Mkunu, Minister Nyoto, Minister Pemi Majodini, Minister Tembi Simelani, Secretary General of the ANC, Mbax Resmetes Mbalula. He took all my calls. He guided me. He says, Gaty, Jason, Jaimutsuamak. And then the airtime of Afrikaans finished halfway. He switched back to the family. To the families, you've been an absolute joy to work with. This is a very somber process. But your patience with us has really shown us that we're on the right track. I want to tell you something, President, before I do the honors of calling you. This was not an instruction, it was a labor of love for me. Because my mother died of a broken heart because her younger brother was never found. So my mother never spoke about a younger brother, but I could feel a pain. So I saw what my mom went through. That's why I was rushing, because I saw what my mom went through. And I don't want any other woman or children or father to go through what my mom has gone through. I can tell you I got 2 other instructions to go and get the other soldiers. So to some of the children that are here, the president is resolute. He is intentional that we must bring back all the soldiers that fought for freedom. And this is not the end. President, it was the French emperor and soldier, Napoleon, that said, it is not the cause, it is not the death that makes a martyr. He said, it's the cause and not the death that makes a martyr. Today, we are here today to honor and say thank you to the families for the ultimate sacrifice. There was a journalist that's only interested in one question here today, asking me how much did it cost. I said, not enough. Because no amount of money can equate to the pain that you felt. We must not run our departments being scared to do the right thing because we're scared about what they're going to write about us. These people that you see before us paid the ultimate price. And I want to say to you in conclusion, President, you know, during the election, we fought with the DA. We fought each other. And today we agree on one thing, that you are the glue of this GNU. Many in your own party are saying, Harifuni GNU. How to be ufuna ing if hafuni GNU? They don't understand. The GNU is going to last for 5 years. We are going nowhere, the GNU. The country is happy, humunati mo GNU. And you must, my president and SG, you mustn't worry much. I see you keep on answering the ones, SG, that says you gave me advice, let me give you advice. You keep on answering the ones that's against the GNU. I can tell you, we, at lunch the other day was a minister that come from the opposition, which I'm not going to mention. And this minister said to me, hey, these people of opposition, they are last time. I'm like, this man was in opposition last year. So I want to say to the SG, let them talk. It's really cold outside. Humunati inside. The GNU is working. We are happy. President Ramaphosa is leading us. And the president that I'm calling now, you know, President, I must tell you something that I never told you to your face. When we criticized you, we went past the boundaries of respectable criticism. We at times became very personal with you. We called you names. We accused you of stuff. But you look past what we all called you, and you look at what is good for South Africa. You are a leader with leaders. And those ones that think I can betray you, you have hired me in spite of people saying you can never make Mackenzie a minister. Today, you can call me bandit, but you must say honorable. Honorable. You can call me names. Markikeni. Can we all rise to our feet and welcome Sir the Drew Matamela? How now, Twalaliwena? Ramaphosa.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Program directors, President Thabo Mbeki, former president of our republic, we thank you for being here. And we thank you for not only being here, but we're delighted that we are following in the footsteps that you laid to have this moment happening. We thank you for that. You did not only, together with the father of our democracy, Nelson Mandela, direct that this should happen, but you were also there in exile with a number of the comrades who lie here, especially our former Secretary General Dumanokwe, whose remains also lie here. So this moment is special for you as well, because you in many ways have been part of this whole process, and you lived through it and you experienced it. So thank you for being here. We honor you and we appreciate what you initiated. So thank you very much. Ministers and who is not here but represented by his MEC, the leadership of the African National Congress and the leadership of the Pan-Africanist Congress, and other liberation movements who are here as well, stalwarts and veterans of our liberation movements, traditional leaders who are here present with us, and our faith healers who are also here, who played an important role in enabling this moment to also take place. Your Excellencies, High Commissioners, and other ambassadors who are here with us present today, key officials in our government who also enabled this occasion to happen in the organized way that it is happening, the leadership of the military high command, the command of our military and the police who are here, and the chief of the National Defense Force, General Mapanyo, friends and distinguished guests, but more importantly, the families of those we are reburying here today. We thank you for being here and we honor you. Minister Mackenzie, I didn't know that you regard those who think that you are happy as being liars. Because today you told us the truth, that they are liars because they are not telling the truth. The real truth is that you are very, very happy to be minister. Now, when I called Minister Mackenzie, as we were putting together the government, I called him 3 times. First, I called him and said, the Secretary General is talking to all parties, and I'd like you to be on hand to receive the Secretary General's calls. And he said, no, don't worry, President, we'll be ready. So I called him again, and just to keep him warm, because I was ensuring that the GNU does take off, as the Secretary General leading our team carried on with his work. So I called him again, and this time I found him in a movie house. He was watching a movie, and I said, no, don't. He said, I'm in a movie house. I said, no, don't worry, I'll talk to you later. He says, no, I'm coming out now. I said, what are you watching? He says, I'm watching Bad Boys. Bad Boys 2. So I just said, no, all I was doing was to call you and say, the discussions are going on and you are part of them. Don't worry, we'll call you again. So when I called him the 3rd time was to inform him that I would have wanted to meet you, as I often meet all those who are about to be appointed to cabinet. I said, we don't have the time, we're rushing, but I've been talking to you, and I just wanted to let you know that I'd like to appoint you as the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. And he said, thank you very much, Mr. President, thank you. And then I put the phone down. Then he called me back. And he said, Mr. President, did I hear you correctly? I said, yes. No, he says, no, I'm saying so because I'd given my phone to my guards, as he called them. He now has protectors. So I gave my phone to my guards and I said, the president will call, the president will call. And when I didn't call for a while, they laughed at him. They said, you said the president would call. He never called you. So he wanted to go back to them and tell them that he called. I'm now minister. Minister Mackenzie, we're very pleased with the work that you've done, because you've really done a phenomenal task here. But I'll talk about that in a little while. Comrades and friends and colleagues, we are here today to celebrate the return to our soil of the remains of heroes and heroines of our struggle for freedom. Now, through this act of repatriation, what we are essentially doing is to reinstate their nationhood, their citizenship, their South Africanness, and their humanity. We are returning them to the land of their birth. We restore them to their families and to their people. And we're pleased that their families are here, because through this, we are also paying tribute to their families. Families who went through a lot of anguish and pain and depression and sadness. To you all for having gone through all that. And in fact, you sacrificed immensely. Fighters left a country that was at war. They left a country in which the fundamental rights of its people were brutally and cruelly suppressed by a system of apartheid, which was declared a crime against humanity, a fact that I recalled at the United Nations General Assembly a few days ago, when I applauded the General Assembly for having declared apartheid a crime against humanity. Today, their remains return to a free and democratic South Africa. It will forever remain a source of regret that these men and women who lie here were never to see the dawn of the freedom to which they dedicated their lives, to which they sacrificed so much. It is fitting that we gather at Freedom Park to honor them, because it is here at Freedom Park that we remember our struggle for liberation and the many men and women who fought so that we may be free. It is here that we celebrate the achievement of our democracy. And it is here that we pledge to strive together, sparing neither strength nor courage, until the fundamental freedoms of every South African are realized. Through the repatriation of the remains of these freedom fighters, we are giving further effect to the preamble to our Constitution. In the preamble, we are enjoined to recognize the injustices of our past and honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land. We are called on to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. While these freedom fighters belonged to different political parties and different political traditions, they were united by a common vision of a free South Africa. And though they departed this life many years ago, their ideals and values continue to guide the South Africa that we are building today. Their activism and their sacrifices continue to inspire our efforts to build a better life for all South Africans. As we welcome these patriots back home, we owe our everlasting gratitude to the countries that offer these freedom fighters shelter, that offer them support, and in the end, a fitting resting place. We are grateful in this instance to the governments and the peoples of Zambia and Zimbabwe for having taken great care of our compatriots and for enabling their remains to be repatriated. We say thank you, and let's give them a good round of applause. Like other countries on our continent and in other parts of the world, they stood along us in our struggle for freedom. They hosted our freedom fighters at the frontline states. They provided material assistance and support. These countries dedicated themselves to our cause. Our cause became their cause, often at a great cost to themselves and to their people. Our fallen heroes and heroines became part of the people of these sister countries. Today's ceremony brings us closer together. We've just heard about the dignified ceremonies that were held in Zambia and Zimbabwe. I'm told they were more than dignified, and they were attended at the highest level. And this in itself speaks volumes for the manner in which our sister countries who sacrifice so much regard us, our struggle, and our future. We are hopeful that we may work with the authorities of those countries to promote the memorialization of our shared struggles. We hope that we may promote education, tourism, people-to-people exchange. Exactly 2 months ago, the global community under UNESCO, World Heritage umbrella, the Human Rights, Liberation, and Reconciliation sites. The distinguished delegation of Zambia to the World Heritage Committee tabled the proposal and was supported by all other committee members. Today is an opportunity to renew our commitment to the African Liberation Heritage Program that is led by Tanzania. And today's ceremony must build on the emerging government-wide collaboration on cultural heritage and the memory of all our freedom fighters. We must work with education and heritage stakeholders to ensure that the names and contributions of these African freedom fighters are known and appreciated by generations. We must build memorials, yes, memorials, to the sacrifice, to the resilience and solidarity that characterized this profound friendship between our countries. We must also undertake memorial activities that showcase the innovation of our people across all disciplines, across shared industries as well. While we remember these heroes and heroines through monuments and acts of memory, ultimately the greatest tribute that we can pay to them is to build a South Africa in which all people are free and equal. And we must honor their memories by working with greater determination to lift the people of South Africa out of poverty and create employment and opportunity. That will be the best memorial that we can build for the people who sacrifice so much, who are lying before us. We must work to end all forms of violence, particularly violence against women and children. And we must build safe homes and safe communities. We must tear down the divisions between black and white, between men and women, and between rich and poor. The return of these freedom fighters reminds us of the caliber of activists that led us on the path of democracy. It reminds us that whenever we are or wherever we are and whatever we do, we are called upon to be the agents of change. We are called upon to be activists. In our actions, in our conduct, we must follow the examples of these men and women who lie here. And we must strive for unity and not division. And we must hold ourselves to the highest standards of integrity and probity. The journey of these patriots reflects the powerful and irreversible ties of solidarity and friendship amongst Africans and the peoples of the world. Having just returned from the UN General Assembly, where we attended one of the main actions that we sought to attend, which was the Summit of the Future. At that historic gathering, the representatives of various countries and humanity, I'll call them, raised their voices in support of effective multilateralism and sustainable development and underlined sustainable development. They reaffirmed their commitment to global justice, peace, and equitable system of international governance. As a country, our experiences of struggle and solidarity propel us to continue to work vigorously for a better Africa and a better world. Our commitment to international peace, wherever peace is required, whether it is in Ukraine, whether it is in the Sudan, whether it is in the Sahel region, whether it is in northern Mozambique or eastern DRC, and whether it is in Gaza, we as South Africans must always be on the forefront of justice and respect for human rights. That is where we belong, and that is where we must continue advocating for. We will continue to stand opposed to any form of colonialism, of apartheid anywhere. And we will continue to stand with the people of Palestine. We stand with the people of Western Sahara. Like the compatriots that we honor today, we know that freedom is indivisible. The remains of these freedom fighters remind us of the price of freedom. We owe it to their memory to make sure that no other generation and no other people have to pay the price they have paid. There are many departments, institutions, and individuals who have worked tirelessly over the course of several years to make the repatriation of these compatriots possible today. The governments, the High Commission, Embassy, and relevant authorities of Zambia and Zimbabwe have provided invaluable support. This project was made possible, yes, as I said, by the outstanding vision that was started by Nelson Mandela, continued by President Thabo Mbeki, and we now continuing with it. But this is where the government, intergovernment cooperation has been at its best, and underpinned, yes, by the government of national unity. Who would ever have thought that a minister from another party that much as a relative of his has also suffered during this period of apartheid, devastation, and tyranny. But who would ever have thought that this program would be pushed through by a minister who's not an ANC minister, taking forward the work that was started by an ANC minister? So we thank you for that. This is the government of national unity at work. The various departments have worked together. Sports, culture, have worked together with the with the defense ministry, and all the ministers all the deputy ministers that worked together. Department of Home Affairs ensured that families received passports and were able to visit the burial sites of their loved ones. And so we say thank you to Home Affairs. Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, through the TRC unit, mobilized and supported the families. The National Prosecuting Authority, through the Missing Persons Task Team, together with the South African Heritage Resources Agency, exhumed and examined the remains. That is important. And this is where science also played a key role through the DNA process, and some are still going to continue happening. And this is where the dedication of our officials was also seen in full play. The Department of Health facilitated the correct permits were issued for the mortal remains to enter borders. South African National Defence Force has brought our heroes and heroines home and has opened up its facility at one military hospital to put the remains of our compatriots there. The return of these remains from Zambia and Zimbabwe mark the start of a process to return the remains of fallen freedom fighters from several other countries. This marks the beginning, and we are going to continue because we must bring them all home. They must come home. The Exile Repatriation Project will continue in fulfillment of the duty that we owe to those who fought for our freedom, to their families, and to the generations to come. South Africans need to know who these people are and the contributions that these returned freedom fighters have made. Some of them are well known. Duma Nokwe, who was Secretary General of the African National Congress at a crucial moment in our struggle for liberation, is here. In exile, he was a prominent voice of the continent and around the world in support of the cause of the people of South Africa. It is perhaps a sign of his esteemed place in the history of the liberation movement that his name remains where his remains were exhumed, still wearing, Secretary General Mbalula, the ANC scarf in which he was buried in Lusaka in 1979. John Nyati Pokela, the chairman of the Central Committee of the Pan-Africanist Congress, who spent more than a decade on Robben Island for his activities as a member of the Azanian People's Liberation Army, then known as POCO. He is remembered for the vital role he played in forging unity within the PAC, and he passed away sadly in Harare in 1985. Another prominent leader of the PAC was Edwin Litsolo Makoti. He was a founding member of the PAC, as we've heard, and was Secretary for Publicity and Information in the PAC Central Committee at the time of his passing in Harare in 1989. We all know the name of Florence Moposho, a stalwart in the struggle who is remembered for her commitment and sacrifice and fiery spirit. She was a great leader of our movement and a pioneer in the struggle for women's rights. She helped us understand that no society can be free until its women are free. The name of Basil February is also written large in the history of our struggle. As a member of the Lutuli detachment of Mkonte Wesizwe, he was killed in action in the then Rhodesia during the Wanki campaign. There are some people who were part of the Wanki campaign who I saw here. We also welcome home the remains of Tot Machikiza, a composer, musician, and writer of great renown and achievement. His music and his writing earned him much acclaim, but it also earned him the ire of the apartheid state, which banned many of his works and forced upon him years in exile. He passed away in Lusaka in 1968. There are other freedom fighters who we honor here today, whose names are not as familiar, and yet their sacrifice and their contribution to our freedom is no less profound and is no less valued. We know their names. They lie here before us. And those that we have brought from Zimbabwe are Balungile Shembe, John Maru, Madoda Mnyoli, Clayton Zele, Bafana Duma, Edwin Makoti, Ednam Gabaza, Victor Nxumalo, Patrick Litlalo, Frank Nkosi, Ngangule Kachwa, Judson Kuzwayo, Andrew Mashaba, David Opa Mkhobu, John Nyati Pokela, Basil February. From Zambia, Vernon Mudley, Todd Machikiza, Adolphus Mvemve, Vincent Kumalo, Stanley Puti Molefe, Thabo Mbele, Masichaba Mbele, Duma Nokwe, Philip Jezile, Bethwell Tamana, Joseph Parker Tsiye, Florence Moposho, Tsepo Mudise, Bennett Sibanyoni, Leslie Dube, Lakiso Kulu, Aaron Tiro, Luvuyo Mutsenyani, Obrisi Pomdleche, Hepson Nkositeta Njamela, Simon Kehla Maswanganyi, Lindile Maneli, Klas Mabe Bukhosing, Ishmael Luatle, Ntende Ngqeqe, MK Trevor. Those are the 42. These names will forever be inscribed here at the wall of names in Freedom Park, so that we may never forget. Now, Freedom Park is continuing to record the history of our struggle, right from the time when our forebears fought against invaders and colonizers. As you go around this place, you'll find their stories, their names, and these are going to be added, and many more will be added. This is a sacred place. This is a place of memory. This is a place that talks about us, about our struggle, and about our history. Any nation that values its freedom holds its liberation heroes and heroines in high regard. We are therefore, as a government, making every effort to preserve our liberation heritage. To do so, we must honor all those who authored this history by taking part in the struggle to free our country. This we must continue to do because our freedom can never be taken for granted. We must continue to honor those men and women whose love for their country and its people motivated them to sacrifice their lives for freedom. Now, I have given Minister Mackenzie another instruction. I have said, which he possibly would have spoken about, I've said I want a memo on how we can create a heroes' acre for the heroes of our country. Now, as I travel, President Mbeki will testify to this, as I travel to other countries, to Zimbabwe, as I travel to Namibia. I haven't seen the one in Mozambique. I've seen the ones in Zimbabwe and Namibia. They have created just incredible heroes' acres where the heroes of their struggle are buried. And those memorial sites have in many ways become sacred places of the nation. Now, of course, we may well argue our leaders and heroes are buried all over the country, but it does not mean that the monuments that memorialize them cannot be brought together at a hero's acre. And this is where we should be going. So Minister Mackenzie has another task. And if you say he's happy about it, you'll be lying, because he's very, very excited to take on this task. So I'd like us to move forward to create a great memorial of the heroes who lie buried in South African soil, who, if not buried there, will be memorialized there through various monuments. This is a great day of commemoration. It's a great day to memorialize and to remember those who lie before us. And it is with this that I once again ask that let us stand up and pay our honor to the heroines and heroes who lie here, and be silent just for a minute in honor of them. Thank you. We may be seated. Thank you very much.
A message clear ke Max. Kuthiwa kubakho floor crossing uyawungena nesikhafu sakho pha. Asihluphi. Thank you, Mr. President, for finally restoring the dignity and citizenship of these outstanding patriots. The country will forever be grateful for their sacrifices in building a free and democratic South Africa for all. I would like now to call upon the representative of Northwest to come and propose a vote of thanks. Siyabulela. And then Ms. General Mkotoyi, you must be ready to explain to us what is so move and journey from here. Immediately. Thanks very much.
Program Director, thank you very much. Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, former State President Thabo Mbeki, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Me Angie Motshekga, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton Mackenzie, Ministers and Deputy Ministers present, the High Commissioner of Zimbabwe to South Africa, the High Commissioner of Zambia to South Africa, member of the Diplomatic Corps, the South African Heritage Council, the National Prosecuting Authority Missing Persons Task Team, representatives of political formation present here today, under the stewardship of the Secretary General Fikile Mbalula and the PAC Mzwanele Mnyoto, the President, the heroes and heroines of our liberation struggle, military veterans of our struggle, the families of the fallen heroes and heroines of our liberation struggle, leaders of our faith-based organization, the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders. Bagaetsho dumelang. Let me take this opportunity, Program Director, on behalf of the people of South Africa, to thank His Excellency, President Ramaphosa, for his leadership to maintain the legacy of our forebearers, to keep the bond of friendship that binds South Africa and the sister countries of our continent who midwifed our liberation. We must thank our government to take a bold political decision to repatriate and have this ceremony. We thank you, President, for your leadership and that bold decision. Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Kenneth Kaunda, Robert Mugabe, Julius Nyerere, and Samora Machel, wherever they are smiling, President. They are smiling. They are very happy, not happy, to see the realization of the fruits of their struggles. That is the unity of their people. Mr. President, we may have repatriated the remains of our beloved back home, but their spirit shall live forever to maintain the solid bond of unity amongst our people. We hope all the families will remain and maintain a pilgrimage to the sites of the first burials alive, Mr. President. Our special thanks goes to the ordinary people of Zimbabwe and the government of Zimbabwe and Zambia, who delayed their enjoyment. If you recall, it was just after they received independence that many of our people left our country and went to Zimbabwe and Zambia. They could not enjoy the benefits of their freedom, so that South Africa must be free. We will forever be grateful, and this country will be highly indebted to Zambia and Zimbabwe. Their solidarity and support it did not go unnoticed. They stood steadfast and forthright side by side to dismantle apartheid and its draconian laws and its imperial aggression and destabilization. I can tell you, President, that the vast geographic representation of the origins of all our repatriated remains tell a story of a post-apartheid South Africa that is a product of contribution of all its people from 9 provinces representing different national groups. It's a story of courage, resilience, inspired by the undying yearning for the creation of a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous country. Minister Mackenzie, we are so grateful, and we hope that you will work so hard to ensure that we work on the national burial site for Dumanoke, the former secretary of the ANC. But you'll also assist provinces to make similar proclamations to recognize all the burial sites in line with the requisite classifications. Mr. President, let me just, in conclusion, remind your audience on Khosi Molebahangwe Luka Janki of Batlaru people in Kuruman, whose remains still remains unaccounted for more than a century later after being killed during the Battle of Langeberg in 1896. Kgosi Sechele of Bakwena, who repelled the invasion of colonists at the Battle of Dimawe in 1852. We pay tribute to David Stearman, as well as the Khoi people who deterred the Portuguese from invading the Cape during the Battle of Salt River in 1510. Bahuruti men from Ramotsirimwila in the northwest, who were some of Lituli detachment and its formation. Bokhatamela Masisi ba today, those that you see here in our leadership, Babontite Karato, le go lwantsha bokoloniale mo nakong e fetileng. We need to reclaim, President, the heroism of these compatriots to gather courage to confront and defeat the current challenges afflicting our nation. We must fight in honor of their names to defeat the cynicism and adventurism that prescribe simple solutions to complex national questions. Your address recently, President, at the United Nations General Assembly, you reminded us and the world that the second country's second miracle, which we can define through government of national unity, it's a miracle, and you have just demonstrated that. The rest of Africa and the world looks upon South Africa to make good of the government of national unity, and it must succeed. Every day of our lives, we must commit to the life and teachings of President Nelson Mandela, who has taught the world the language of forgiveness, peace, and negotiations. Program director, for the sterling works that they do as co-program directors. The two program directors. The families of the 42 that is here. For your strength, your resilience. We believe that you went through hardships, but your love for your country, so that you have released your children, your husbands, and therefore we believe that this is to close the chapter of the lives of our fallen heroes. We must also thank the ANC and the PAC, so that they have released their comrades who pursued the struggle for liberation for South Africa. These are the comrades who volunteered when it was not fashionable for today that we are enjoying this freedom. We must also thank the military war veterans for their participation, the South African National Defense Force, and all senior government officials across departments who participated in the preparations for this event. We also believe that all the frontline states where all our comrades went to, we believe that through cooperation, we will have a relationship that would ensure that next time when we come here, we'll be repatriating other comrades coming from the all other states in Africa. We are saying, in conclusion, we thank you yourselves. You are a wonderful audience. Thank you very much for you to have been here. Thank you very much.
Can we request General Nkotoi to come forward? I don't think it's wise ukuthi sihambe ipresident ingekahambi. Ni create a security situation esingena kuyicontrol. Where's General Nkotoi?
General Mkotoi.
Okay. Izothetha abatata bazokuva.
You'll also tell the people where.
Kwajwa nge-order apha mbakisa uhambi nje nakanjani. Naye ndikusepha ezikampini. Sikushukumise kancinci. Thank you, Dad. Thank you.
Mr. President, Just want to correct something. I'm not General Mkotoi. I'm Chief Warrant Officer Mkotoi. The same Chief Warrant Officer Mkotoi who briefed you this morning in your holding area. Mr. President, what I will be doing now is not part to what you have, to the briefings you received this morning. The SANDF is requested to assist with the departure. So now I'm here to assist with the departure. The following, Mr. President, and attendees is going to happen. The SANDF has got a doctrine documented. It's a documented manual, manner of doing things like this. So today is not a normal day of the SANDF. So we deviated from the way of doing things. So now we will not follow the sequence that we normally follow when we do things of this nature. So what's going to happen now? The mortal remains doctrinally must leave first. But however, due to the space and the situation, they will leave last. Everyone here will leave. I'll remain here with the mortal remains. And then the families, that parking space there, they must be shuttled and be finished. Then our hearses can come in and take the mortal remains. So what's going to happen? I'll ask you to stand, and then I will bring my officer attention, and then I will request my officers to salute, and then I will request the president and his entourage to leave. The entourage is the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Arts and Culture, followed by the Chief of the South African National Defense Force. Thereafter, excuse me, there's a former president here, Thabo Mbeki. Former President Thabo Mbeki will follow the president, followed by Minister of Defense, and then Minister of Arts and Culture, followed by Military Command Council, the protectors, and the guides. They know the direction they must take. Thereafter, it will be the families. The families will be going to my east, and then they will be guided to the shuttles, and they will be shuttled to their destination. I'm informed it is a restaurant. Thereafter, SANDF, when it is clear, they will come and they'll remove the mortal remains and load them to the hearses and back to one military hospital. Then our task ends there by one military hospital. Thank you, Mr. President. Please stand. Officers, salute. Mr. President, you may leave.
Dad Mackenzie, did you prepare budget for lunch for a month? Okay. I guess.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Attention. Standard is Military Command Council may follow. Thank you. Families, you will be ushered by Department of Arts and Culture to the shuttles. Thank you.
Sissy? Hey, Mama? Sissy? Hey, Sissy? Hello? Hey, restaurant. Hey, lab. Or go to again, we will serve ourselves with restaurant around here. I thought it was better than sanctions. And goes, thank you very much. The family first. Wait, family first must leave. Please, please, please.